I loved it. I loved the end scene. I loved the battle scene. It was too much, okay? I was distressed. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and turn on your post notifications so you don't miss any of my uploads. I just got so emotional wanting to film this video because I realized that this is the last video that I'm gonna film for 2020. I just can't believe it because there have been so many milestones passed, so many goals achieved, and only in a matter of 6 months, we now have 1,000 subscribers. Y'all are way too good to me. Thank you everyone who subscribed. Thank you everyone who's gonna subscribe. Thank you everyone who engages with me, who tunes into my live streams. Everyone, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, for real. I'm honestly so thankful for y'all, and I just can't believe we've grown this far, and I'm so excited for what 2021 holds for all of us. I love you all so much, and I'm super excited for today's video because as you can tell by the title, today I'm gonna be sharing with you all the books I read in December and all the books I plan to read in January. And I know I fail at TBRs, but I'm still gonna give it to y'all, okay? Because I'm gonna try to commit for real to my January TBR next year. If you didn't watch my last video, I told y'all that I have an announcement on New Year's Day, so stay tuned for that video that's coming out on January 1st, 2021, because y'all are definitely not gonna want to miss it, and probably for the last time. Without further ado, I'm Christine, and this is Editorial Edge. Did I stick to what I said in my December TBR, which is going to be linked up here in the description box? Maybe not. But as you see in the iCards, I said I was going to read red and green books for December, and I still did that regardless of whether or not I stuck with what I said I was going to read. So before y'all even get at me in the comments, I feel proud of myself, okay? I read books. I enjoyed it, and December has been my favorite reading month of this year. So the first book that I'm going to share is a book that I did say I was going to read in my December TBR, and I did read it, and that book is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. The way I love this book, it's almost ridiculous. So I did a whole reading vlog this month for this book. It is going to be up here and in the description box so you can watch it afterwards. But I loved reading Crescent City. And let me tell you, she has definitely become one of my favorite all-time authors. The writing in this book is so well done. It's so atmospheric, which are kind of the books that I tend to gravitate towards and enjoy the most. I love following the characters around in their everyday lives and what they're doing, but the great thing about this book as well is that there's a lot of action and a lot of battles and a lot of commentary, political commentary that happens within this world and that involve the characters in this book. This story follows a girl whose best friend had been murdered, and now she has been thrown into the investigation as she also seeks for her best friend's killer. But in this investigation and in this search, she finds a lot of things that she didn't want to find out and a lot more secrets that are unfolding before her. And of course, there's definitely someone that she gets involved with that she didn't necessarily get along with in the beginning. So to all the enemies to lovers fans out there, this book is definitely for you. I gave Crescent City a 5 out of 5. This book made me laugh, it made me cry, and it made me fall in love with all the characters and care so deeply about them. And that's honestly all I can ask for as a character-driven reader. I highly recommend it. Though it's a thick book, I absolutely loved every single page that it offered. The next book that I read in December was also a 5 out of 5 read, and that is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. Y'all, this book was so cute and I loved reading it. It was such an important story to tell. It was told and narrated so well. The characters are amazing and complicated and so sweet. And I love the cultural components that go into making this story weave with fantastical and fantasy elements. This story follows Yadriel and Julian. They're both trying to figure out who caused Julian's death, but also the death of Yadriel's cousin. In this story, Yadriel has the power to see ghosts and spirits, and that's exactly what Julian became after he was murdered, and Yadriel had summoned his spirit. This story was not only a great read, but also told an important story because Yadriel is actually a trans boy, and as we follow his character and the way that they're trying to solve this mystery, history. He's also trying to fight for the acceptance of him as a boy in his family. There's such a large cultural component to this story, and it's also a fantasy. It's narrated beautifully, so 5 out of 5. I highly recommend this book. It's not too long, but not too short, and it's just perfect for anytime you want to pick up a good read. So those were the only 2 books that I had said I was gonna read in my December TBR, and after I read those 2, I definitely deviated. I deviated just a little bit, you feel me? But it's only fitting because 1, it's me, and 2, I don't regret anything because I dropped my entire TBR to read and binge A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Y'all, after I read Crescent City, I just needed more Sarah J. Maas books. I just wanted to be destroyed again. I didn't learn my lesson in Crescent City. There are 3 books and I read them in 3 days because I just love them. I give the synopsis of this series in my last video, so I'll link it up here and in the description box for you. But here are the ratings and the breakdowns for each book of the series. Alright, so let's start with ACOTAR. I rated ACOTAR 3.5. That is a good rating to me. A 3.5 means I enjoyed it, I liked it, but there were some things that I didn't enjoy or it just fell flat for me. And for ACOTAR, it was kind of the latter. The writing is really well done, the characters are laid out, but there wasn't anything in particular that was exciting me. It was just simply a good read. But I feel like those are kind of my reactions to many first book of a series. So just keeping that in mind as a reader book, I still really enjoyed this book. Just didn't have any wow factors where I was just like, oh yeah, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. Except the ending. Once I got to the ending, I was like, okay, yeah, I need book 2. Which leads me to A Court of Mist and Fury. And although I'm not doing my favorite reads of 2020, Akomov has become one of my favorite reads of all time. Is it number 1? Is it number 2? I still don't know. Y'all know I love A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I also made a review for this book. I'll link it up here and in the description box so you can watch it. I love that book. I changed my Twitter name for that book. But when I read this in December, I was conflicted like no other. That book gave me the steam, the political intrigue, the characters, the group dynamics, just everything that I love in a book. I ate it up. Sarah J. M. ate me up and she spit me out because wow, the way I was just torn apart after reading this book. I can go on and on and on about how much I love this book, but I'm not. I have some self-control, but needless to say, 5 out of 5. 10 out of 10, a million out of a million, because Akomov is that girl. But as Akomov gave me the steam that I needed, Court of Wings and Ruin gave me the political meeting, the scheming, the plotting that I oh so very much love in books. Some of my favorite books, like Six of Crows and Cassandra Clare books, involve lots of scheming and plotting, and I love to eat those things up. There are so many mechanisms and things going behind the scenes in order to get to one big finale, and that is exactly what the ACOTAR series gave me. I was so invested. I was turning pages like no other. Y'all, I told y'all that I read all of this in 3 days. Do y'all see how thick these books are? That's how much I literally love this series. I highly recommend. I loved it. I loved the end scene. I loved the battle scene. It was too much, okay? I was distressed. So if you're looking for that experience, there you go. There's your rec. It's in the description. Go ahead and read it. And you're welcome. Last books I'm gonna include in the books that I read in December are Scythe and There Will Come a Darkness. Scythe was in my December TBR as well. However, I only read 25 pages of this book, so I didn't technically finish it, but I'm gonna mention it because I did read it, I did start it, okay, and it was a red book, so I do plan to finish all 3 books of the series in 2021, so y'all will most likely see this book again. Yeah, I like it so far. There Will Come a Darkness by Kate Rose Poole is a book that I was gifted for Christmas by a friend, and I shared that in my last video, which is my Christmas book haul up here and in the description, y'all. But I didn't know too much about this book going in. However, I'm already 200 pages into the book right now, so I'm planning to finish it tonight or tomorrow, but definitely before December ends. If you like the Six of Crows duology or ninth house, this is definitely a book I suggest you pick up because it's following 5 different characters and 5 different points of views. And right now in the book, we're working towards these characters finally meeting, and we find out that their paths cross because of a prophecy that needs to happen in order to prevent destruction to all the lands. There are just so many different components to these characters and to this group, and I'm super intrigued by it. And the fact that it's following so many different points of views, I love that because we get to see so many different characters, so many different points of views, how they're introduced and how they see each other, and I'm all here for that. Those are all the books that I finished and or read in December, which leads me to my most exciting TBR to be made, because in January I'm gonna be reading the first book of series that I want to start and finish in 2021. I shared some of these books in my latest video where I give you book series that I want to start in 2021. So I'm super excited to dedicate the first month of 2021 to the first books of series that I want to start. And I'm way more excited because I'm also diving into genres that I don't typically read. The first book I want to share that I'm going to read in January is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Red Rising series is actually a sci-fi series, and in Red Rising we follow a character who lives on Earth, however finds out new forms of life living and inhabiting Mars. And in this book, the main character finds out that people who are inhabiting Mars, who have been for generations, now classify themselves as a higher class of people, a higher group, and looks down to people who live on Earth like this main character. The main character, Darrow, actually finds that they need to pair up with rebels in order to overthrow the oppressors and take back their land. I'm super intrigued by this series, to say the least, and I'm super excited to finally start. I have been eyeing this series for the longest time, and I don't know why I just never picked it up, which takes me to another book that is outside of the fantasy genre that I usually adore and love, and that book is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. Truly Devious is a true crime mystery book, and I'm super intrigued by it because in this book we follow the main character who goes to a new school that is notorious for a famous cold case. The wife and child of the founder of this school got kidnapped years and years back. However, no one has found the answers to where they were kidnapped, if they're still alive, why they were taken, all that jazz. And so we follow this girl named Stevie as she starts her year here at this school and wants to be the person that solves this cold case. Wait, I definitely just forgot, and this book definitely just reminded me. This is such an awkward time to insert this. So before I forget, I also read When No One's Watching by Alyssa Cole. Wow, this is such a fail. But this is a psychological thriller, and before this book, the only thriller book that I read was The Butterfly Garden and Money's Not Coming. So I was really intrigued. I really enjoyed it. However, the ending was really for me. As you can see, it's definitely tabbed up. I originally gave this a 4. However, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 because I really have questions that are unanswered, and I'm still not really settled on how I feel about this book and how it transpired. But it was a good read, so I highly recommend it if you still like psychological thrillers, because it does have a very interesting way to talk about important aspects and conversations like race and gentrification. The only reason why I gave it a 3.5 is really because of the ending. Everything else was great. I love the narrative, I love the writing, I love the characters. It was just the ending that just threw me off. But okay, that was just awkward. So continuing on to this book, needed to say that because what I was gonna say is I'm really interested and excited to read this because I find myself really liking thrillers and these kind of murder mystery books. Don't worry, fantasy is still always and forever gonna be in my heart, but I'm really excited to branch out and try new books so that I have recommendations for you all who do read in this genre. But I don't want to make y'all nervous, so let's go back into the fantasy realm. The next book that I want to read in January is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. In this book, there's a Lord Ruler who's super oppressive, who's immortal, who never dies, and every time the people of this land try to revolt and overthrow him, they always lose. However, in this book, we follow a character who may be the one that breaks this cycle and finally liberates the people from this evil Lord Ruler. I'm super intrigued. Everyone who has read this series say they loved it, and I want to love it too. So definitely in my January TBR. This last book I'm also super excited to read because I have been saying I needed to read this book so many years ago. But that book is An Emperor in the Ashes by Sabatihi. I'm super excited to do it because I'm going to be buddy reading this book with Mel from Mel Reads, so I can be held accountable to read this series and this book, okay? I know it's a short TBR list. From now on, I'm definitely going to be uploading TBRs with books I know for sure I'm going to read, and then leave room for whatever book I want to pick up. I hope y'all like that new model, and I hope y'all found some books that you want to add to your January TBR. Let me know in the comment section below, what books are you reading on your January TBR? But okay everyone, that is all for today's video. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and comment while you're down there, and until next time, bye y'all.